This video is going to be an offense review for the Ravens' 16-13 loss to the Eagles, week 1 of the preseason. Certainly there were some things that were clunky, but things start off really well. 2 drives, 2 field goals against an Eagles defense that at that time, those first 2 possessions included a number of guys that are either going to start or be second string and possibly get on the field for them. We're going to get right into the film. Not going to have as much of a lead in here as maybe we typically do for some of my videos, especially recently. And we'll go through play-by-play, some of which I'll skip around. So this is first play of the game. This is a one-back log play. So basically, Falele is pulling. And I think it was Cole Jackson did a great job on Twitter identifying how nice of a job Josh Jones, the left tackle, does on this particular play. But it's Pro Twins A. So you have 11 personnel with the tight end, the Z, and the halfback, running back all into the boundary, and then twins to the field. So what they're trying to do is elicit a 3/2 down here to the field and gain a running numbers advantage into the boundary. They've kind of done that. One of the things Todd Monken wants to do is he wants to force the boundary side safety to make a decision, or force the coaches to make a decision with the boundary side safety. And in this case, they roll down number 29 into the boundary to try to create that 7-man front. This is what Todd Monken wants. Hopefully we can get a chance to do some of this in the regular season. We go get the front side safety with the Z. The inside line, the wide receiver, essentially blocking the front side inside linebacker, but it's a strong safety into the boundary. Falele is the puller. Devin White gets picked up by the tackle, Josh Jones, who did a great job of redirecting back out after the down block. Him and Voorhees did a nice job with Jordan Davis here, taking him this way, combo/down block, and then 64 peels off to Devin White, the backside inside linebacker. Folding over the top, is able to push him out of the way. Great job, Owen Wright. I think 13 yards. Very next play, Owen Wright again, except this time on the reception. Little slant or in flat combination. Ravens ran snag flat a ton last year. A little bit different variation here. I think Tylan Wallace is the backside X. You would normally get something like that. The snag route, only this case, Wallace, who of course had a spectacular catch a little bit later on in the game, little in cut, so he takes it vertical first. I think they're trying to just not give away the actual route combination by changing the backside X's route. You got the slant, got the in, and got the snag. In this case, Josh Johnson sees it quickly, perfectly gets the ball out there to the running back. I thought Johnson missed one of these throws later on, but nonetheless, with him getting rid of the ball so quick, with him making such quick decisions, there's times where the offensive line isn't as stressed. Simply put, the offensive line in those situations doesn't have to protect as long because the ball is already out. 3-step, quick game concepts, whatever you want to call it. Ravens against the defense with a lot of talented players out there. You can see Quinyon Mitchell is on the field, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, among others. Able to zip right down the field, 13 yards, and then I think 17 on the very next play. 3 straight 0-yard gains culminates with us having to settle for a field goal. Didn't think, looking back, that we'd be able to push these guys around. When I say these guys, I mean the interior 3 for the Eagles. Additionally, Devin White is working up immediately, so we've had to kind of waste a player here in terms of the left guard, which is Voorhees. White's then able to fold back over the top. Additional to that, I didn't think Jones did a nice job on this play at all. 4-eye, 3 technique, whatever you want to call him, 93. I would call him a 4-eye because he's stepping out to Jones, so it's a little different, 4-eye versus a 3 technique who's not engaging you. And in this case, 93 is able to basically dislodge Jones. Him and both inside linebackers hold right to a no-yard gain, maybe a half-yard gain. 2nd and 10, still first possession. Go empty here. Pass, I believe, is intended for Washington, who's the inside receiver in empty. I think we've got the Eagles' base defense on the field here. Ball gets batted down. I think it's Jalen Carter at the line of scrimmage knocking this one down. Ball out quick again. Regardless of the fact that it's tipped, we're not stressing the offensive line to protect for very long by making quick decisions, identifying the coverage, and getting the ball out fast. Lamar did a really spectacular job in 2023 of that. Josh Johnson's strength, his relative strength, would be recognition, experience, and then getting rid of the ball fast. Certainly, arm strength, being able to throw the ball downfield, is not the relative strength of him at this point, 38 years old. 3rd and 10, first possession. I'm not sure if Cunningham gives up on this route or what. It's thrown low. Maybe it's thrown low at this point after the pump. And this is Quinyon Mitchell defending him, a little in cut. Maybe Josh Johnson's throwing this ball low now to protect it from possibly being intercepted. I'm not sure how much contact Quinyon Mitchell makes on the back shoulder or back hip of Cunningham. It doesn't look like much to me, but maybe it's had more of an impact. Nonetheless, I do wonder if this throw is low intentionally. Cunningham tries to go down to get it. Certainly looks like the connection between those two is not good on that particular instance. Second possession here. Owen Wright again on at tailback. This is 20. I don't know, would you call this 21 personnel or 12? He's certainly lined up as a fullback here. Very similar to some of the stuff we did in 2023 with Pat Ricard, lining up as a slot or a tight end and then motioning into the backfield or vice versa. But it's a quintessential power play where we're pulling Voorhees for the front side inside backer, and we're kicking out with the fullback. I'm not sure why my marker won't right there. Kicking out with the fullback on the edge defender down here to the bottom side. Don't get a whole lot of expansion. I will give the end zone angle. I think it's a 5-yard gain. Nolan Smith played a little bit more than I would have thought in this game. I think his sack came in the 3rd quarter. There's Voorhees with the block on the front side inside backer. We've successfully comboed up to the backside guy with the tight end, which is Kolar. Power. You're generally going to get a combo to the backside inside linebacker to take care of him, kind of create that wall. And then the backside guard, in this case the left guard, Voorhees, is going to pull and wrap to go get the front side inside backer. A little bit of a lateral step, and then not really condensing this as much as you'd like. You can see he's kind of sitting back on his heels somewhat. There was a nice wall created on that power play and just too much of a gap. 5-yard gain. Second quarter now, I believe. The Eagles had a long drive on their second possession. Great throw on a 2nd and 5 to, I think it's Kirkwood by Josh Johnson. This formation is cool. I saw it a lot in the preseason last year, is sniffer. So we've got another tight end on the field out of 11 personnel, but we're creating a weird 2-back alignment. They're literally right in front of each other, hence the phrase sniffer. And if we're not running or lead blocking or something, then oftentimes these guys are going to split. One running back go the other way, the tight end / fullback go the opposite way. And that kind of opens things up sometimes. In this case, I think this is one of those situations. It's kind of a dig / slanted post here by Kirkwood. You get the end zone angle. See what I mean as far as opening the throwing lane up, what I tend to call zone 4, between the hash and the top of the numbers, almost right on the hash. Kind of clears things up. I don't know why we don't use it more often in the regular season, this sniffer set. It's a unique alignment. The quarterback, a tight end, and a running back in the backfield. I'd like to see us use it more often. I recall last year in the preseason, Monken using it 2-3 times a game and kind of being variable with the plays, meaning showing one play the first time, a second play the second time, and a totally different play the third time. Base personnel appears to be on here by the Eagles. I could be wrong. 2 outside linebackers on the field right here. Jalen Carter, I think, is on the field up top in like a 4-eye. Quick throw to Tylan Wallace. Ends up being a 7-yard gain. I think this is Hunt, the rookie outside linebacker for the Eagles. He's from a small school, I think in Texas. Very talented athlete, but a quick throw by Josh Johnson to Tylan Wallace. And then we've got what looks like number 2 wheel go up the sideline. So cool concept. You got to imagine that off of this is the pump fake to the same route to Tylan Wallace, the stop route, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it a hitch. You got to imagine there's the pump fake to that and then taking it up the right sideline. I don't believe we ever saw that attempt to work the ball downfield. Josh Johnson, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, is not the strongest arm quarterback that we have on the roster by any means, especially at age 38. I think it went down for a 7 or an 8-yard gain. Still second possession. Skipped forward, I think, 2 plays here. Ends up being a 2nd and 8. And this is the fantastic catch down the left sideline by Tyler Wallace. Have to give him and Josh Johnson credit for this. Beautiful catch, back shoulder throw. I think that's Ringo down at the bottom. I thought Ringo played with a lot of force, and I thought he played very handsy and was disruptive and challenging a lot. So I think you can see the potential that is there for him as a bigger corner with speed. Dropped in last year's draft. Very similar motion that you saw to the first play that I showed you with the run play to Owen Wright, where there's 3 to the boundary. Somewhat similar formation, except the tight end is not in a 3-point stance. Also has 12 on the little stop route in the slot against Quinyon Mitchell. This one goes for 19. Up to this point, the offense is just rolling. Certainly slowed down thereafter, which is interesting because the talent drop-off that the Eagles had, I think, after the second possession, there were certain guys that came off the field and didn't play anymore at all. Nolan Smith wasn't one of them. 5-man rush. Offensive line did a great job on this one. Not one of the situations that would fall under, hey, it's a quick release. The O-line didn't have to do much. That's not how this is on this particular play. You've got a 5-man rush. Those guys doing a great job communicating up there. I don't know about you. I'm interested to see if Ben Cleveland's versatility helps him hang around a little more. I did think there was a couple times during the game where he looked a little bit out-athleted by the player he was going up against, but this was a rep that I think was pretty good all the way across the front. Second drive, thereafter, 1st and 10. This is a run play. Somewhat similar formation is bunch A, one of Monken's favorite formations. Bunch, whether it's 11 personnel, 12 personnel, or 21, and then the running back on the same side, hence the phrase bunch A. Bunch B would be the running back's feet on this side, opposite of the bunch, opposite of the strength. Tylan Wallace is the backside X. It's a pseudo-zone read look by the quarterback and the running back, but there's really nobody as far as an edge defender that's being read. We do have an unblocked nickel defender here that's getting involved with the run, but I can't think that he's the run read initially. End zone angle, same play. So we're talking about this defender here. Basically being gut blocked by Washington, 85. So no read man on the play, just a called dive or called give on the inside zone concept. Half mesh, I would call this, and Johnson ends up scrambling. Mesh is 2 underneath drags, one originating from one side of the field and another drag from the opposite side. Oftentimes you'll have a third route with mesh that sits in the middle once those 2 drags have sifted or worked each other out. In this case, I call it half mesh because you're getting Tylan Wallace working his way up the field. Additionally, you're getting the running back pressing towards the sideline and only one drag, which is coming from the top side of the field. Those guys end up stopping. It looks like to me those guys stop their feet, stop the route when they see Josh Johnson scramble out of there. It's kind of surprising to me because I look at the Eagles' defense as an athletic group. Certainly when the starters are on the field. I don't know about you, but I felt like in the game, that nickel blitz that we just saw, I think it was Quinyon Mitchell, I thought that worked 3 different times for the Eagles. For whatever reason, I thought we had trouble with it multiple times. 48, you can see stemming inside. Here's the nickel blitz off the edge. We're releasing the running back. So this particular play, apparently the running back isn't called to look for edge protection, I would guess, because Josh Johnson appears to be reading this side initially to see if anyone's going to cover the running back at all. They do. Nickel blitz runs free. It seemed like 2 of the highlights that we've seen from training camp, at least 2, we've seen a nickel blitzer, an edge blitzer, get free and get in the quarterback's face. One of the touchdowns that Lamar threw on something that was linked by a Ravens reporter. I can't remember exactly which guy it was a great throw. I think it was Zay Flowers, but I could be wrong. Someone quickly mentioned or astutely mentioned in the comment section on Twitter or X and said, well, didn't you see Eddie Jackson run right by the quarterback and celebrate the sack? I don't know about you, but I wonder if the edge blitz is giving us trouble. It seems like it may be. Perhaps you haven't noticed it as much. Perhaps you don't, you disagree. This is a holdover play from 2023, jet dive with a little bit of a variation in how the Ravens are running it. Jet dive, so they're running, I think this is Cunningham across, and the tight end is releasing almost like a reach block, almost like we're giving it on the jet. And then we're running the dive off of it. Watch how we're trying to pull people out of there. First of all, he's going with the jet, the guy in motion 12. This defensive back is reading Kolar, so he's stepping out wide as well. Well, the corner, Ringo, is also going with the X receiver. And then there's the dive to Ali. It's really not dive, it's zone, and he's cutting it back. I think this is a beautiful concept. We used it against Cleveland in week 4 last year. I think we ran it against Seattle twice in week 9 at home. And it's a very cool concept, tagged with this arc release by the tight end. We're trying to see what kind of reactions we're getting. That's man. He is reacting to Kolar. He is reacting to the number 1 receiver. So we basically traded 3 for 3. This edge defender right here happens to make a really nice play that I believe holds Ali to a 3 or a 4-yard gain. I call it jet dive because the jet is going in one direction, in this case right to left for the offense, and then the dive is going opposite. Additional to that, quarterback's back is turned. Really nice timing. I can tell you at the high school and youth levels, this is a pain in the butt to try to stop because the quarterback's back is turned and you basically have to treat it like option. Option responsibility. Who is your responsibility? Go with your responsibility, and you may not actually get a chance to tackle someone because your responsibility, the guy you're mirroring, the guy you're reading or matching, may not get the football. It's nice timing on it, if you ask me. Unfortunately, it goes down for a 3 or 4-yard gain, but it sets up complementary plays, basically the jet, the fake dive, and then the boot. 2nd and 5. I think you've got a slant down here at the bottom side to Kirkwood against Ringo. I thought Ringo was a little handsy here, and this one, possibly could have been called. But Ringo looks athletic. He looked ready to go for me. I don't know where he fits in the Eagles' outside corner plans. I know they've got multiple other guys in what I consider to be a talented secondary. I think it'll be an improved defense under Fangio, even though I'm not the biggest fan of his. This is 11 personnel and motion again. Across with 12. It's not a fake to him, though. We're just getting him over into the boundary to see what happens with the coverage. Johnson looks that way, first of all, comes back. I think this is the right place to go with the football. Seems like a pretty good location to me. Check it out from the end zone angle. You can see 12 going across is going to pull Quinyon Mitchell, him in 24. Switch it. This is the kind of thing that I think Lamar could do in terms of looking one way and kind of intentionally coming back the other. Maybe that was, or I think this ball actually probably could have been a little bit further out in front to help him deal with the angle. And sometimes when the ball is more out in front and the receiver doesn't have to almost, I don't want to say this, come back to the ball. This ball certainly is not thrown behind him. But when you're able to reach out a little bit more in front, that almost makes the hold a little bit more apparent. I think, and I could be wrong, that they might have a hold on the bottom left hip there, but I may be wrong. That may have just been his towel flapping. Leads to a 3rd down. Josh Johnson ends up scrambling. After this, I have to admit, the offense definitely bogged down. To this point, the first 2 possessions, I thought Josh Johnson was playing well, getting the ball out really quick, making quick decisions, taking advantage of quick game stuff that was there. Nothing appears to be here initially for me. Ringo looks good to go down there for me. If you're an Eagles fan and you watch this long, first of all, thank you. Second of all, let me know what your perceptions of Ringo are going into his 2nd year, what the reports have been from camp. Looks really athletic, if you ask me. One thing I don't like about this is there's no option for anything that's going to a back corner, really. The Eagles have constricted everything from a leverage standpoint. Try to pause it here in a moment. Get all the routes up here. We're on inside leverage, inside leverage. There's leverage here on the inside and the outside. Ringo looks like he's checking out the quarterback for a moment and then matching up with Wallace, who's definitely open. Where Johnson able to come back to him. I think I'll give you the end zone angle of that one. A lot of negativity, rightfully so, about the offense, particularly directed at Josh Johnson. The one thing I will say is earlier in the game, playing with guys like Owen Wright and even these are third stringers on the field, I thought he ran the offense efficiently and we were able to get things accomplished, get things executed. The end product, the end result, I should say, 13 points, and some of the throws that he had thereafter after the second possession just didn't live up to what it looked like early on in the game. I'm really interested to see this week's preseason game, who they play, how much Devin Leary gets in. Really questionable or confusing decision to put Emory Jones in on that last play of the fourth quarter after Leary had been in the game for a while in the second half. I think hopefully I didn't just call him Dennis Leary. It's Devin Leary. But both of those guys, I'd like to see them get a chance to play. Josh Johnson, at this point, I feel like you kind of know what you're going to get. Smart, efficient, gets the ball out quick, all of those things, but has clearly a relative arm strength issues compared to the other strengths or the other positives that are in the column for him. I can't argue with people who say we wish we had a higher caliber backup quarterback in case something did happen with Lamar and he had to miss a game or two or even a longer period of time. This team is too good. This roster is too good to not explore all options. And the unfortunate thing is, even if you did bring in a higher level talent, someone with better arm strength than Josh Johnson, they would be unfamiliar with the offense at this point and certainly be operating uphill or at a disadvantage. In any case, that's my breakdown of the first two possessions. I like to do possession videos. I feel like when you see plays called in succession or the flow, I do believe I missed one play here on the second possession. But it for me, is more fun to try to present and then try to relate previous plays to the reason why maybe Todd Monken called one in a particular situation. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at the Ravens' first two possessions from their Week 1 preseason game against the Eagles, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.